Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a Stinkin podcast.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randy Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
President Trump has fired FBI Director James Comey in the middle of the FBI investigation into any possible links between Trump campaign associates and the Russian government. It is the final breach in a long, tumultuous relationship between the two men. Comey first earned Trump's ire last summer when Comey, who was then the man heading the investigation into Hillary Clinton's private email server, said that the FBI would not bring charges against her. Trump tweeted at the time, quote, FBI director said, "Crooked Hillary compromised our national security. No charges. Wow. Hashtag rigged system." Later, Trump criticized Comey for seeming to build a case against Clinton, but not following through. Take a listen.
For a prosecutive decision.
After reading all of these items where she's so guilty, he let her off the hook.
Just 2 weeks later, Comey announced he had reopened the investigation into Clinton's email use. And as Democrats now scorned the FBI director, Trump changed his mind as well and repeatedly praised Comey.
And I have to give the FBI credit. That was so bad what happened originally, and it took guts for Director Comey to make the move that he made. What he did, he brought back his reputation. He brought it back. I respect the fact that Director Comey was able to come back after what he did. I respect that very much. Good job by the FBI. I have respect that the FBI has given it a second chance.
That goodwill tour continued as Trump took office and did not fire the FBI director, as some considered a possibility. Even in March, after Comey confirmed that the FBI was investigating Russia's interference in the U.S. elections, including any possible collusion with the Trump campaign. Still, Trump said Comey enjoyed his confidence, but he added, "We'll see what happens."
Was it a mistake not to ask Jim Comey to step down from the FBI at the outset of your presidency? Is it too late now to ask him to step down?
No, it's not too late, but, I have confidence in him. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So what changed?
It's interesting. So what changed? What changed? Well, apparently the Deputy Attorney General changed. That's what changed. We now have Rod Rosenstein in charge of the FBI. Now we have to learn the chain of command. So the FBI reports to the Deputy Attorney General, and then the Attorney General reports to the Attorney. The Deputy reports to the Attorney, and the Attorney General has recused himself, Jeff Sessions, because he's the subject of the Russia investigation. And so, it was Rod, and Rod apparently has been on the job for all of 2 weeks. So the story should go something like this: Rod, who was confirmed by the Senate, goes into his new office as Deputy Attorney General, takes a look at the drapes, arranges the family photos, and says, I'm going to fire Comey for the way he treated Hillary Clinton. Anybody believe in this? Galen in Alexandria, Virginia, I understand you're at the White House.
Well, I was at the White House today.
Oh.
Let me just say thank you to you. I was dozing yesterday, listening to you live, and I hear you say...
Oh, I hope that
Comey,
doesn't happen
God.
often.
No, I was not feeling well. I had low blood sugar. I'm a diabetic.
Okay.
But I heard you say, Comey's been fired.
Yes.
And I thought, oh, my God, this is the end of a monologue. She's joking. And then I heard you say it again. Comey's been fired. And, I picked my butt up. I went on the Twitter. There was a big protest at the White House today. I sent you via Twitter a picture of me with my sign that said, "Putin's tool, America's fool." You like that?
I like that.
And
because you know what's so interesting, Galen, is here you have the President of the United States sending out a letter saying that Comey had assured him 3 times that he is not being investigated for his ties to Russia, although the public testimony from Comey would make the president, oh, dare I say, a liar. So, you have you have that. And the president says, thank you for telling me 3 times that I'm not the subject of your investigation. Now you can go. Just as, Comey is setting up grand juries and
asking for more resources. Asking for more money.
I don't know that he asked for more money. I don't think that story.
I heard it. It was reported today.
Yeah, but I don't think it's true. I think that's
okay. All right.
I think that's what Rod Rosenstein said. He said that Comey had asked for more money. But when the reporters on Capitol Hill who cover the Justice Department and the FBI went to ask the FBI whether or not they had asked for more resources, to a man, they said no, that didn't happen.
Right. Okay.
But what has happened is grand juries in Northern Virginia have been set up and subpoenas have gone out. Also, let's remember that Lindsey Graham indicated after the last appearance of Sally Yates, who was also fired, that they wanted to get all the Trump financial information.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then, we have the Senate Intel panel asking Treasury last night. They went to the criminal investigative arm of Treasury and said to Treasury, we want all the information regarding Trump properties with, inside the criminal money laundering section of the Treasury Department. So this thing was closing in on the Donald. And that is why he has just removed the only person he has not appointed himself who has the long-running memory of this investigation from stem to stern, who started it back in July and who is now making progress.
Right.
That's what happened.
I'm right there with you. And I think that one thing was said at the protest today, which is very important, which is we need to ask our senators, our Democratic senators, not to cooperate with the Republican senators to shut it down. Shut it down. To get an independent counsel, we only need 3 senators. If you live in Arizona, McCain, South Carolina, Graham, Maine, Collins, call these people. Bombard Mitch McConnell, who doesn't want to have an independent counsel. Let's get some sunlight on this now.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Now, listen to this. Okay. What's really interesting is I went back to the C-SPAN because that's where you go when you want to see things that were testified to in Congress. And this is Rod Rosenstein's confirmation hearing. He had been asked a question, would you appoint a special counsel to take over this Russia investigation? And you know that the Senate keeps telling us that the Intelligence Committee is not an investigatory committee. The Intelligence Committee deals with national security issues inside of the intelligence communities that come to them so that they can advise. They can figure out, what's important, what's not important to the United States national security. They are not investigators. They don't have investigators. In fact, they only hired a couple of part-time people to help them with the investigation that has now been thrown into their lap, the one that Comey started back in July. And so they've been chomping at the bit, especially Dick Blumenthal. It's the only way I can not call him Sidney, so I call him Dick. His name's Richard, obviously. And Richard Blumenthal has been saying he needs a special prosecutor. We should have a special prosecutor. And when Rod Rosenstein was up for his nomination as Deputy Attorney General, they asked him specifically, Congress did, the Senate did, whether or not he would appoint a special counsel. Now, I did see Chucky Schumer on the TV last night saying that Rod Rosenstein told him that he would appoint a special prosecutor, but I looked at that hearing. I don't see that commitment. In fact, this is the relevant portion.
Let me go on to the question of special counsel. And I mentioned in my opening remarks that when Valerie Plame's covert identity was revealed by someone in the Bush White House, Attorney General Ashcroft recused himself, and then Deputy Attorney General Comey promptly assigned Patrick Fitzgerald to be a special prosecutor with plenary authority to investigate and prosecute that case. Now, given the recusal by the Attorney General and the intense political interest in this matter and the strong potential that the investigation will in fact involve individuals associated with the White House, it would seem that this situation also rises to the level of extraordinary circumstances that warrant a special counsel under the regulations. Given all of this and the heightened level of distrust on all sides, do you support the appointment of an independent special counsel to look into these matters?
Senator, my understanding of this, and again, it's based solely on media accounts at this point, my understanding is that at least one of your colleagues called for a special counsel for something related to this matter while Attorney General Lynch was in office in early January, and she rejected the request. And based on the media accounts, I believe she said exactly what I said, that she had confidence in the career professionals of the department, but she had an additional piece of information. She presumably knows the facts, and I didn't, and she rejected that request. Currently, Senator, we have an acting Attorney General for this matter, Dana Bente. He was appointed U.S. Attorney by President Obama, and if there were a need for special counsel, he currently has full authority to appoint one. So I don't know at this point if Attorney General Lynch or Acting Deputy Attorney General Bente are right or wrong, but I certainly wouldn't be in position to overrule them without having access to the facts that are the basis for their decisions.
So I'm trying to figure out what your bottom line is. I interpret that as a no. Is that fair?
Well, I don't know, Senator. I think the answer is I'm simply not in position to answer the question because I don't know the information that they know, the folks who are in the position to make that decision. And when I am in that position, I don't presume that Attorney General Lynch and Acting Deputy Attorney General Bente are correct. I have a lot of respect for them, but if I determine that they're mistaken, then I would overrule them.
Thank you. I understand.
She understands. I don't understand. Do you understand? Did you understand? I didn't understand. Is that a yes or a no? What is your bottom line, mister? What? Now, I will tell you, looking into him, this is a sad story with him. He was supposed to be a Bush appointee. He was he was nominated by George W. Bush. That's how long this guy's been lurking around, okay? These career people, that get on the political track, they never stop. Anyway, he was supposed to be on the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is one of the most conservative circuit courts. I know that because I had a live case in front of them, and of course they found for me, which was shocking to everybody, but they did find for me. However, he was supposed to be on that court. He was a nominee by W. That seat had been open for about 7 years. And he couldn't get there. He just couldn't get there. They decided not to have a hearing for him. This is a very familiar story to the Merrick Garland fan club out here. He never got a hearing. They left that seat open because W didn't get around to picking somebody for that empty seat on the Fourth Circuit for 7 years. And then finally, when he did it in an election year. And so the Congress said, let's not have a hearing. We'll leave it for the next president. And so Obama got to put somebody on that court, and it wasn't Rod. The Obama didn't choose Rod. I think Rod still has, some hard feelings about that. I could be wrong. But now all of a sudden, Rod is saying that the reason why he wrote the letter to, recommending that Comey be fired is because Comey was mean to Hillary Clinton. Now, everybody says that he's somebody that we should respect and that he's a unbiased career prosecutor. He's a professional who apparently wanted to be a judge on the Fourth Circuit and couldn't get there. And so, but we're supposed to believe that a guy with that kind of intellect and acumen and non-biased, just straight on, full on prosecutorial, a mind, went to his office 2 weeks ago, looked around, said, nice carpet, don't like the drapes. Hey, Comey was mean to Clinton. I'm going to work very hard to not really investigate that, but 2 weeks' time from now, we'll have him fired. Really? No, the letter was dated yesterday, the same day that Comey was fired. By the way, by a reality TV president on the freaking TV. You know that they knew Comey was not in Washington. Comey was in Los Angeles. Comey was at an FBI recruitment event. That's where he was, giving a speech to young recruits, to people who would want to join the FBI. And there were TVs behind him, and he thought it was a prank. He thought that the people inside this convention, this recruitment convention, had played a big prank on him, and that they were putting on the TV monitors that he had been fired. Ha, isn't that funny? But it turned out that was CNN. And they were reporting in real time that he had been fired. That's how he found out. This man, that's how he found out. The president didn't even bother to pick up a phone and call him. No, he sent his bodyguard, apparently, Keith Schiller, not Paulie Walnuts, but you get the idea. He sent Keith Schiller over to the Washington office of the FBI, knowing that Comey wasn't there. You coward, you lily-livered, yellow-bellied coward. And fired him on the TV.
Clear for takeoff. The Randi Rhodes Air Force. Air Force. RandiRhodes.com.
Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a Stinkin' podcast.